Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Gardener. I'm your host, Jennifer Ebling. It's July 9th. Here's a little primer on mulch placement. Keep mulch away from the bases of plants and trees. Trees can be harmed or killed by mulching too heavily around the trunk. Perennials and other plants can be smothered or damaged by heavy mulch, especially around the crown. Mulch is a wonderful tool in the garden, but it pays to pay attention to placement. Here's today's brevities. Today in 1926, the Green Bay Press-Gazette posted an article titled Ice Cream Grown on Vine. The article was about the fabulous Colonel Henry Wallace Johnston, who, until the age of 50, had operated a hardware store in Lebanon, Kentucky. At midlife, he moved to Homestead, Florida, and in 1912, Johnston created a 20-acre estate called Palm Lodge Tropical Grove. He even liked to dress the part, complete with a white helmet, looking as if he had just finished playing Jumanji. Known as the Wizard of Palm Lodge, or Florida's Burbank, a nod to California's Luther Burbank, Johnston began adding over 8,000 incredible specimens of tropical fruits and flowers, many of them not found anywhere else in America. Palm Lodge gave him widespread recognition, and although Johnston never traveled outside the United States, he was a natural marketer. Stories about Johnston include the following. He coined the name lipstick tree. Rarest among his plants was a flower that produces a perfume called the scent of Lilith. Johnston grew the dumb cane tree, or Dieffenbachia, from Cambodia. He would tell folks that if they bit into the leaves, their tongue would be paralyzed for 6 weeks. Harvey Firestone and Henry Ford brought back rubber plants from Madagascar, but only Colonel Johnston's plants survived. Johnston's Palestine tree fruit was wrapped in cellophane while on the tree to protect against insects. Johnston's gingerbread palm fruit tasted of gingerbread. And Johnston furnished almost all of the tropical exhibit for the state of Florida at the Chicago World's Fair. Johnston also produced nearly 300 different types of fruits and jellies, and they were all packaged on site. One of Johnston's specialties was the cultivation of the aloe vera plant. He grew a 15-acre aloe field, and by 1920 was regularly harvesting the leaves and bringing them to Miami, individually wrapped to stop the spines from making the jelly ooze out. And yes, one of Johnston's plants was something he called the ice cream vine, botanically known as the Monstera deliciosa. The fruit resembles a large ear of corn, minus the husk, and tastes like a combination of banana, strawberry, and pineapple. Johnston's Lodge in Florida was a showplace, and there was no charge for admission. Homestead's Chamber of Commerce showed that 30,000 people, including botanists, visited the lodge every year. One day after 2,000 guests had been received, the register revealed that Henry Ford had passed unnoticed in the crowd. On this day in 1941, a Soviet court sentenced the prominent Russian botanist Nikolay Vavilov to death by firing squad. Vavilov never faced the firing squad. Instead, he died of starvation in a Soviet prison 2 years after receiving his sentence. Today in 1942, newspapers announced the retirement of George Shull. Shull was the noted botanist who taught at Princeton University for 27 years. His work resulted in a $150 million increase in the value of U.S. corn as a result of his crossing pure line varieties with self-fertilized corn. Shull's hybrid yielded 10 to 40% more than ordinary corn, and he never made a penny from his creation. In Unearthed Words, here's a poem from Emily Dickinson called Answer July. In the poem, Dickinson speaks to July directly, and July responds by pointing out that the hot summer is the fulfilled promise of spring. Answer July, where is the bee? Where is the blush? Where is the hay? Ah, said July, where is the seed? Where is the bud? Where is the May? Answer thee, me. Today's book recommendation is Lives of the Trees, An Uncommon History by Diana Wells. Wells investigates the names and meanings of trees, sharing their legends and lore. And Wells says, our long relationship with trees is the story of friendship. The human race, we are told, emerged in the branches of trees, and most of us have depended on them ever since for food, shade, shelter, and fuel. Today's garden chore is to incorporate a wheelbarrow garden into your garden plans. Take an old wheelbarrow, drill some drainage holes in the bottom, that's very important, and upcycle it into a beautiful portable planter that's perfect for flowers, herbs, and small edibles. Finally, here's something sweet to revive the little botanic spark in your heart. Today, in 1963, the Marvel comic botanist Samuel Smithers became Plant Man when lightning struck his plant ray gun, giving it the power to control and animate all plant life. Plant Man dueled with the Human Torch in the botanical garden and lost. He was taken to prison. In his final storyline, Plant Man transformed into a giant plant monster and attacked the city of Los Angeles in retaliation for humans polluting the world. In his final moments, Plant Man was defeated by Iron Man. Here's one of Plant Man's more popular lines. Do not speak to the Plant Man of power. Mine was the genius that gave the semblance of life to unthinking plant tissue. There can be no greater power than that. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day. The Daily Gardener is produced weekdays in lovely Maple Grove, Minnesota. You can find complete show notes over at thedailygardener.org, and be sure to share the show with your garden friends. You can find The Daily Gardener on all your favorite social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest, and of course, Facebook. While you're over at Facebook, don't forget to join the Daily Gardener community. Just search for these 3 words, Daily Gardener Community. The group will pop right up and then request to join. Finally, I want to thank my team at Podfly Productions, where my fabulous editor is Eric Begay. Have a great day in the garden, and we'll see you tomorrow.